to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And we can break it down then. We can say this is what it means for water, this is what it means for forests, this is what it means to oceans, and so on. It's a very moving document up on our website, and we did, 2 weeks ago, I had the honor of presenting it with Evo Morales and some civil society leaders around the world to the Secretary General, who said that he was very interested in moving it to the Rio summit, the next Rio +20 summit. But I don't want it to be owned by the UN. We're talking now about how could this become the people's document, a global people's document, where we fight and use it in every one of our communities. So whether you're fighting pollution in the Taseko mine and Fish Lake, or you're fighting the new coal mine that's proposed for here, or the clear cutting that's still going on right through this province, or whatever it is that you're fighting, that we have this template that says that there are no such thing as human rights unless we respect the rights of Mother Earth. I'm just going to end with one story and then one quote. My story is an exciting story, because I think sometimes we feel we're overwhelmed by the one job after another kind of thing, but we can win. And sometimes we give up too soon. Sometimes when you're about to win, it's like going up a mountain and it's getting really steep because the resistance is really steep. But actually you're right there. There's the top of the mountain and you're just about to get there. And it's always, always too soon to give up, right? This is a story of a fight around an aquifer in Simcoe County up on Georgian Bay, just northwest of Toronto, up in beautiful rolling country land, right up on the bay. And the county council there is made up of the mayors of many small towns, because there's no big city. The closest is Barrie, but it's not in Simcoe County. And they have a lovely, beautiful aquifer there under this rolling farmland. And it has been tested. The waters of the Alliston Aquifer have been tested, and so far it's the cleanest water that's ever been tested on Earth. It was tested in a lab in Heidelberg, Germany. So what do you do if you've got the cleanest water in the world? Well, you put a dump site on it, right? So years ago, County Council decided to put this dump site, and it was held up by people struggling, fighting, and so on. But last summer, last spring, a year ago right now, the county got really serious. The certificate of approval had come through from the Ministry of the Environment in Ontario, even though we now have a Clean Water Act that would never have allowed the site to be looked at in the first place, but it's just appalling. Anyway, so the big heavy equipment was all ready to come in to start to dig the cells. What they do is they dig huge cells and then they line it like a big diaper, and then they dump the stuff in and hope it doesn't leach. The Environmental Protection Agency in the United States says there's no dump site that doesn't leak, not one, anywhere. Anyway, so we got real serious about putting together resistance, and the council got very involved, and lots of others did. A group of First Nations women set up a peace camp, a resistance camp on the farm just adjacent to Site 41. So, I mean, it would be as close as you guys are here is where they're camped. Then there's a road, and there's the site. And every morning they and non-First Nations people, lots of elders and so on, would gather and hold a prayer vigil. And they would just happen to hold it on the road where the big heavy equipment had to come in every morning. So of course, things heated up, and this warden, every place has a bad guy. And the warden is Tony Jurgis. You know him from family that you've heard about recently. But anyway, he's been pro Site 41 for years and years and years, and he called in the police, and he got a warrant for arrest. And they started arresting these young women, young mothers. They went to a couple, she's 82 and he's 86, and a farm couple, and knocked on the door to tell her to bring her down to the station. She was baking butter tarts for the church bazaar, and asked them in for tea and butter tarts before they fingerprinted her. So of course this was all over the media. When the media asked her how she felt, she said, well, I've never even had a parking ticket, but she said, if I'm going down for water. And I thought, we're going to win. I know we're going to win when you're resorting to arresting 82-year-old butter tart baking women in their homes, then we're going to win this thing. So sure enough, the resistance grew and grew and grew. And the women actually held off the heavy equipment long enough that it was too late this year because the frost was going to set in. So we proposed a year moratorium on this while we did more research. And we were pushing, getting county council, one member after another, and we all went in last August 25th. We went into the county courthouse, at the county municipal building, and it was filled. There were hundreds inside, and hundreds of more outside who couldn't get in, but we had speakers outside so they could hear. And we had the deliberations, and people voted, in fact, overwhelmingly for the moratorium. People we never expected to vote for it, and a month later they voted to kill the project altogether, which was a real win. But the story I wanted to tell you was that there was a mayor of a small town there, a man in his 70s, big guy. He was a toughie. He was really right-wing, and he'd supported Site 41 all these years, and he loved standing up to those protesters. And he got up to vote, and we were all, here we go, you know, here's the speech, and he started to cry. He said, I got up this morning, I was going to vote against this moratorium, and he said, I went into my office, my home office, and my grandchildren had found a Stop Site 41 sign, put it on my desk, and they wrote the word Papa, and they call him Papa. And he said, through tears, my grandchildren at that moment gave me a new job description. And he said, my job description is as a water steward. I have to protect the Alliston Aquifer. That's my job for the rest of my life. It was a very moving moment to see this guy admit this and change. And so I know we have daunting challenges ahead of us, and we really do. And it means that we have to just stay strong, and sometimes we lose and sometimes we win. And when we lose, we don't lose. We just go back, lick our wounds, and come back. And the question is, did we build a movement? Can we call on that movement for the next phase of the fight? And we have to realize that sometimes something horrible that happens, like the Gulf spill, can actually be the teacher to the world. I mean, the right wing, the drill baby drill, you're not hearing anybody saying that right now. And it's a terrible cost, but what can we collectively learn as humans? Can we move ahead as a human species? I think with this Universal Declaration of the Rights of Mother Earth, it would be a symbol that we as a human species has advanced collectively, you know, a whole step. Not that it'll all be better right away, but that we recognize something so profound and something so ancient and something First Nations people have known all along. And so I am hopeful and tell you that story in hope. I just want to leave you with my two favorite quotes. One from Carl Sagan, and I think we have 10, 15 minutes for discussion. Great, so I'll give you these quotes, and then we have a few minutes for questions and comments. Carl Sagan, the great, wonderful environmental scientist, said this. He said, anything else you are interested in is not going to happen if you cannot breathe the air and drink the water. Don't sit this one out. Do something. You are, by accident of fate, alive at an absolutely critical moment in the history of our planet. They're gorgeous. And the other is Tolkien. I've kind of got Tolkien on the brain. I called the Tar Sands Canada's Mordor in a press conference a couple of years ago, and this energy industry guy said, it's not as bad as Mordor, and I thought, you shouldn't have said that. Like, never allow a comparison. Mordor, if you know the Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings, it's death. It's the death of nature. It's the place of evil. You know, you don't allow a Mordor comparison. Half as bad as Mordor, right? Anyway, I got Tolkien on the brain, but this is Gandalf facing that night when the armies of evil may kill all of it. And it's, again, this is an allegory for the death of nature. And he's talking about being a steward. And I think anybody on a Sunday morning who's here talking about this as a steward, so this is for you. He says, the rule of no realm is mine, but all worthy things that are in peril as the world now stands, those are my care. And for my part, I shall not wholly fail in my task. If anything passes through this night that can still grow fair or bear fruit and flower again in the days to come. For I too am a steward. Did you not know? Thank you so much.